What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Cleveland Browns in 2 days, and they might have a name on the football field that we, under no circumstances, thought was going to be on that football field. We're diving into the potential play of one superstar corner. Meanwhile, the wide receiver that we anticipated being called up has changed. And the new one is surprising, but very, very exciting. And we're, as always, making our picks and predictions for this one. It's a good one. Shout out to my boy Jacob and my boy Jack Markowski for covering for me yesterday. Appreciate both of you guys. Absolutely crushed it as always. How you feel, my friend? It feels good to be back.
Feeling great. Agreed. So glad you're back. had a blast with Jack yesterday. You know, if I'm being honest, he's a hell of a guy.
Yes,
But happy to be back and rolling with you today. I experienced more of Jacob's inability to just deal with the weather, right? Because I get I get down to the facilities down the south side. You know, I got my hoodie on. It's like 60 degrees. It's chilly. The moment practice starts, it's like the sun immediately just beams itself down onto the field, and all of a sudden I'm eating lunch. I'm like, I'm sweating. What am I doing here? It's fall. I can't even keep up. It's, so here we are, cool, calm, and collected. Thankfully, a little bit of time removed from being there, but I'm really excited for this weekend, man. And I'm really excited for this week 6 matchup. So, and I know you alluded to it earlier, so you want to just like dive in on this crazy development that I may have witnessed today and yesterday?
You did witness some complete chaos today, which is exciting. First, before we do, because I was going to segue into this, but I won't. Okay, you're going to stun some people when you do it, so we just have to get it out of the way. Show everyone what you're drinking today. Jacob's known for drinking some soda. Today he brought a pint. That's a liter. It's a liter of Diet Coke there. So just in case everybody like literally gasps the first time they see it, as I did, we had to get that out of the way.
No, you're right. I was hoping it would just go unnoticed, but yeah, I did. I was embarrassed a few minutes ago when I hopped on this call with Noah, and he was like, "Bro," and I was like, "Oh, what? Something must have happened, But no, he was like, "Is that a pint of Diet Coke?" And yeah, you know what? And it's shout out to the Place for Smiles Eaton Park for providing the takeout container to put said pint of diet soda in. So we're here, we're hydrated. We are quenching the thirst. No,
not at all.
First one's a lie. Second part's true.
Okay,
a little bit of gray area.
At least you're having a day. Had to get that out of the way because I broed them to death when we saw it, and I knew you guys would as well. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers football. Today, you noticed it. You sent a text to me and Jack, saying Jalen Ramsey's practicing. And my response was, whoa, there's no chance. Then you said, no, Jalen Ramsey's like actually practicing. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Then Jalen Ramsey pops up as questionable for the Pittsburgh Steelers game against the Cleveland Browns this Sunday, a development we did not see happening. We thought it was 4 weeks. That's what everybody was being told, was a minimum of 4 weeks. He was going to be out for a little while. It was a little bit of a Joey Porter Jr. type injury. There was no expectations for him to play. We called it out. We said Mike Tomlin's talking right out of his butt saying, oh, there's a chance we're going to leave the door open for later this week for Jalen Ramsey and Calvin Austin to participate in practice. Calvin Austin didn't. Jalen Ramsey did enough. You've been there the last 2 days. You've seen it. You've kept us informed. You've got the intel here. What has happened with Jalen? And where is your bar? Where is your meter on whether or not this guy's actually going to play after what you've witnessed?
Let's start with what I know for sure, right? Yesterday was light, limited participation from Jalen Ramsey, stretched with the team, and then for the rest of it was just kind of around. From the start of their practice session today, he was a full participant. He was running with the first team defense, going through all of the walkthroughs,
Yeah.
and it really, as Noah alluded to, like it really was shocking because there was just no expectation that he would take that next step. There was no expectation that he would even be available for this week 6 matchup. So he's running through all of practice today. I take that to be a very good sign. He spoke with reporters after practice today as well. He was asked about, are you going to play? Yeah, we'll see. Questionable on the injury report. I am shockingly close to saying that I think he's going to play on Sunday, and the main reason why, and then I'll offer a counterpoint to it as well that I think is worth mentioning, but on a Friday walkthrough, like that to me is like that's what you're gonna go through on Sunday. Like that is
Yeah.
the rehearsal, the dress rehearsal for your game script on Sunday, for laying out the plan. And if Jalen Ramsey was not a real part of it, why would they have him go through the trouble of going through that walkthrough, the specificity of preparing for the Cleveland Browns and going through those sessions whenever there is another game, 5 days down the road after this week 6 matchup? And that
Mm-hmm.
the one counterpoint to this. So I do believe he's going to play, but someone did ask him in his scrum, like, does the fact that there is another game shortly after, very brief amount of rest in between those games, does that factor into the decision at all? He said it depends who you ask. and
Yeah.
then, and then shout out Brooke Breyer was like, well, what if we ask you? And he was like, it matters, but like it wasn't anything to sort of give a hint beyond that. So
Yeah.
there is this slight seed of doubt, I will say, as confident as seeing him as a full participant going through practice today made me feel, because there is this super quick turnaround in these games. No AFC North contest is going to be easy, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
They may be saving him, just ramping him up, and then, we'll see him in week 7 on that Thursday night game against Cincinnati Bengals. But man, the way he was out there today and the way he was moving yesterday and today, it just seems like a player who can make a difference on the football field and isn't just like testing things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I very much so do. Or it very much so does. Do you okay, so you've been there, you've seen him. I think that plays a big role. Like he could talk all day long. Jalen wants to play. Let's not act like Jalen doesn't want to play. Jalen wants to be out there. The 2 games in 5 days is significant. Do you rest him now? Do you play him on Thursday? Like, do you rep count him now to play him on Thursday? Do you take Dylan Gabriel into account? Because I think that that's a factor here, is the fact that the Steelers are healthy outside of Jalen Ramsey. They have nobody else on defense that's missing. You get Joey Porter Jr. back. You have Darius Slay. Deshaun Elliott's back for a second game now. I don't necessarily know that you need everyone out there to say we get to stop a 3rd-round quarterback, because this isn't a 1st-round quarterback. This isn't going up against the number 1 pick in the draft that you have to worry about as a stud QB already. This is a 3rd-round QB that is 0-1 in his career, has had 1 game. Like, do you need to risk that? Do you need to say, it's bad? How do you approach it? Like, do you because I think there are multiple ways to do this. I think you could snap count him and say you get X amount of snaps out there. At that point, you could dress him and not play him and say if he's desperately needed, he's out there, but we're not super worried about it. And you could just say we're going to sit him or we're going to play him because we do or do not care about a game in 5 days against Cincinnati. And I mean, we both agree on that, unless you feel differently. I feel like the easy answer on this one is if I have to worry about Dylan Gabriel or Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, I'm much more concerned about the latter than I am the former. And I would go, I think you have to take that into account. How do you approach this? How do you approach it? Like, he wants to play. I get it. He's questionable, but essentially that just leaves the door open. You allowed yourself to say, I get to make this decision on Sunday, not Friday. How do you approach it?
Well, I mean, look, if I'm Mike Tomlin or, just like sort of the one making the decisions on the lineup, I see no reason to rush Jalen Ramsey. Oh, my dog just saw someone outside. I see no reason to rush Jalen Ramsey back onto the field. And granted, I will say it again. He did not look like a player who was nursing an injury in practice today or yesterday. He looked like a player who was ready to, suit up for a game on Sunday. That being said, the hamstring specifically and the importance of Jalen Ramsey factored into this as well. There is just no reason to rush him back unless you are just, in a dire and desperate position. Like if this was, week 17, week 18 of the regular season, you're fighting for your playoff lives. It's a playoff game. It's, you're fighting for the home field advantage for the, all these circumstances that absolutely make sense for you to play when you're at 85%, 90% or something like that. Yeah. We're talking about week 6 against the Cleveland Browns, who are a very bad version of themselves. Yes. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, who are an even worse version of themselves than usual. And yes. So where is that need coming from? Jalen Ramsey certainly made it clear that he wants to play. He does not like missing games. It doesn't matter what is holding him back. That's why he, Tomlin talked earlier this week about them being sort of like aggressive with their rehabilitation. And then Jalen sort of doubled down on that as well. Calvin Austin as well. Like they had the time off with the bye week. They wanted to sort of like see if they could accelerate that process. I get it. I understand it. It's not necessary right now. So my approach would be, I appreciate the effort and how hard you're ramping up for this divisional opponent. Chill. Take a week or two off still, like come back week 8, and that's great. Like the worst thing that happens is they're 3-3 when he comes back, and if he takes the next 2 games off, who cares? You know what I mean? Like you can absolutely still run the table from there, even if you were to lose these 2 games. And quite frankly, I don't think they will. So I think it's imperative to rest him if there's any doubt about his status and his health and the hamstring. So that's how I would play it. I do not believe the Steelers are in agreement or in alignment with sort of my line of thinking here.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel the same way. I do not. The Steelers are looking at this one of 2 ways. Okay. They either genuinely feel Jalen Ramsey might actually play, and there's a health issue. There's a health status here that they feel much more confident about than we do. What I've been told versus what they know is different. And, that could definitely be the case. That could easily be the case. Or they're doing this because this is the NFL and the NFL plays games with each other. And they by no means are going to sit here and say our best player who practiced on Friday because, he's healthy enough to practice. And that's you're not going to rest a guy in practice if he's able to practice. That's just not what you're going to do. He was healthy enough to practice on Friday, which means we can make him questionable, which means Cleveland's got to think there's a chance Jalen Ramsey plays up until Sunday at 11:30 when we make that decision. And if that's the case, I mean, the Steelers are going to use that to their advantage, and that's what they're doing here. However, okay, and we're not always about doing what we're supposed to be doing here, so we break the rules a little bit. We did get it. We do have some intel that Jalen Ramsey was running with the first team, which maybe points to Jalen Ramsey playing. And maybe that highlights, there's a possibility that he is going to be on the field. And, I mean, he is going to play. I think the Steelers are viewing it as if we can put Jalen out there, we will. Because the Steelers, in my eyes, are a little bit crazy. Because you shouldn't be putting Jalen Ramsey out there. He should not play. He just shouldn't. Not this week. If you want to play next week, you can. But if Joey Porter Jr. and Darius Slay aren't good enough to stop Dylan Gabriel and Jerry Jeudy, then I'm sorry. The Steelers defense is significantly worse than we thought that they were. And I just don't believe that that's the case. I don't. I don't look at this game and say Jalen Ramsey's the deciding factor. If Jalen Ramsey's on the field, they win. If he's not on the field, they lose. That's not what I see happening. I felt confident all week long. That confidence did not waver now that it's, maybe Jalen's going to play. And if he doesn't, it's over. I don't think that the Steelers are in a place where you have to worry about this one. And again, if Jalen's healthy on Wednesday, you play him Thursday, but there's no need for it right now. I think there's a chance that they're playing games and keeping Cleveland on their toes. But that being said, it would not surprise me at all. And by your response, I feel the same. You feel the same way, I'm guessing. It would not surprise me at all if he did play on Sunday and he was out there and this was just normal Jalen Ramsey and the Steelers said, yeah, no, he's totally fine. It's no big deal. It's no big deal at all. What's your final prediction? Did he play or not?
I think he plays.
Yeah, I think he plays.
And don't agree with it, but I think he plays. And, if he's in there, he's going to ball out.
I think he plays as well. I think he wants to play. I think the Steelers want him to play. And I think they're going to put him on the field to make sure that he does. I think that's what's going to happen. All right, let's flip it over to the offensive side of the football here. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to call up a wide receiver. They need one anyways. They only have 4 that are active with Calvin Austin out. They will want another one. Right now, it's DK Metcalf, Scotty Miller, Roman Wilson, Ben Skoranek. We've talked all week about how you replace Calvin Austin, but really who's going to be the last guy on the depth charts. There were 2 names coming into this week that we were riding high on, and it was Isaiah Hodgins. Shout out Duck Hodges, who I thought that they had the same last name for the first 2 weeks of Hodgins' career in Pittsburgh. And undrafted rookie, preseason stud, Keshan Williams, who has emerged in the last 2 days, according to those at practice. Excuse me. What have you seen that kind of tells you Keshan might be the guy that might be playing for the Steelers this weekend?
A good bit, again, nothing confirmed, just like Jalen. So there is some space here for doubt, let's call it. But he was running with a lot of the first team units in the kick return when he's working with the special teams. I saw him working a good bit alongside, Kenny Gainwell in that regard. And it seemed like they were getting Keshan Williams. There was yesterday was very telling in my mind because DK Metcalf took a veteran day off, and Keshan Williams was the guy getting elevated in a lot of those walkthroughs and a lot of those offensive reps as they were going through their session. So he seems to have continued showing that speed and athleticism, improving on and continuing that sort of run that he had in the preseason whenever he did very much stand out amongst those group of players fighting for those final spots. That's why he got on the practice squad. But yes, sure. I think that he has been seeing an increased volume in practice that sort of suggests to me, and both the increased load in practice and the fact that what he's doing is where Calvin Austin would primarily be whenever he is on the field, kind of tells me that I think they see him as a temporary replacement for Calvin Austin as he works back from his shoulder injury. So as much as Isaiah Hodgins, I think remains like a part, like a factor or a part of the decision-making moving forward, I think Keshan Williams has really separated himself this week in practice as the guy who is most likely to be called up to the 53-man roster against the Cleveland Browns. And quite frankly, I'm excited. And, I talked to him after practice, and he just talked about being prepared, and how he's prepares every week like he is going to play regardless of whether he actually is called up to the 53-man roster or not. And I think that's probably going to show here if he gets his shot against the Browns.
I'm actually so excited to see Keshan Williams. I'm pumped. Isaiah Hodgins would have been cool, would have been able to see if a veteran guy is able to kind of make his mark on this roster and fill some needs and provide a guy who's been in the NFL, who's played in NFL games and is capable of playing in NFL games. If he could be a guy that comes in here and fills a void. But Keshan Williams was a stud. He was the best undrafted rookie wide receiver throughout training camp. He was the best undrafted rookie wide receiver throughout the preseason. The guy looked electric at all times. He's reliable. He catches the football. He plays really strong for a little dude, and he's able to punt return, which I think is significant. I'm actually super pumped for what Keshan could do. I hope he's able to take some punts at least. I don't need him in there in the kickoff unless they want him in there in the kickoff, which I would love to see.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see him as a punt returner because he was great at Indiana as a punt returner. And to be honest, I want to see him on offense. I want to see him on. I'll toss a bold prediction out here. You want this one?
Please.
I think Keshan Williams has more catches than Roman Wilson this weekend.
I'll jump on that with you. I would be right
does.
there with you, dude. I don't think Roman Wilson factors into this game at all, to be quite honest.
I mean, I think there's a chance. I think they're going to try their hardest, but I think Keshan's going to go out there and be open because nobody's going to be paying attention to him. You know, they're just going to be like, there's DK Metcalf, there's Jonnu Smith, there's Pat Freiermuth. They know Roman Wilson. They know Scotty Miller. They know Ben Skoranek. 85. Some of the guys, you get veterans. Okay. I'm not going to call names out here, but I was standing at practice on Wednesday. Some dude who's been covering the Pittsburgh Steelers since 1990 was like, who's 85? Who's number 8? Is that a new guy? Who's number 85? I was like, that's Keshan Williams, dude. He's been here all summer. He's like, I had no idea. Like, nobody has any idea. He's think
being overlooked for sure.
Yeah, I think he's being overlooked. I would love to see Keshan Williams get involved. And I think what he could do is I would love to see him become that breakout guy. Everybody talked Rock Taylor all summer long, but we both knew it. We both knew it sitting there. Everybody who attended training camp knew it once they left. It was Keshan Williams, dude. He was the guy to watch because he was the guy making plays. And I'd be real thrilled for a good old Keshan Williams game. Did not expect him to be the guy that gets called up, but I'm certainly excited that that's the route they're going here. We'll see what happens. All right, it's Friday. Let's make our picks. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, week 6. We didn't do it last week. Steelers were on a bye. It felt like forever from when the Pittsburgh Steelers were playing, but they're here. Dylan Gabriel comes to town. We think Jalen Ramsey's playing. Jalen Warren's back. Alex Highsmith's back. That's a question we should answer here. He's officially back. What's your prediction on snap count between him, Nick Herbig, and TJ Watt?
Well, I think what it really will come down to is that Herbig will, I think it's going to be as close to a sort of like 1-1, 50-50 sort of split between Herbig and Alex Highsmith. If one of them, like, you know, if Herbig comes out there and just has a monster sort of series, because I expect Highsmith to be the starter I should have started with there. And then Herbig comes in, plays really well. They'll keep rolling with him. But if Highsmith comes in and he's just back to usual, which is a very dominant outside linebacker, like the Pittsburgh Steelers are just going to let him kind of keep on keeping on there. They'll let him keep on trucking, to use your words. So I think it's going to be a split as close to evenly split as possible. But I would not be shocked if, you know, Highsmith gets like 60-40 of the snaps or 70-30 or something like that.
I hope not. It's not that I hope not. I want to see Nick continue to develop because I think he's so good. I think it's a strong 50-50 split. I think there's a chance that TJ plays a little bit less once a lead is developed, if a lead is developed, and then it's a lot of Highsmith and a lot of Alex Highsmith out there to make sure that they're good, because Tomlin loves taking his foot off the gas, man, and there's nothing like taking your foot off the gas than taking your greatest player off the playing field. So I would love to see it happen. I'm excited to see how it works out. I truly, truly am. All right. It's week 6. Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, Acrisure Stadium. Mike Tomlin is redonkulous against the Cleveland Browns. Aaron Rodgers is 3-0 at home against the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh Steelers do not lose to the Cleveland Browns at home unless it's a playoff game and Marquise Pouncey snaps the ball over Big Ben's head, and then everything goes wrong because shout out Baker Mayfield. But more importantly, shout out the Cleveland Browns who got rid of Baker Mayfield, because it always goes back to the Browns being the Browns. This is where I'm going with this. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 5.5 point favorites against the Dogs at Acrisure Stadium. 37.5 point over under. I mean, we've said it all week. We've teased it all week. Everybody knows what our answers are going to be, but I'm excited to see how our answers shake out. What do you got?
You are going to maybe think I'm being too generous to the Cleveland Browns, but I think they are going to score 2 touchdowns in this game, en
Okay.
route to 14 points total.
Okay.
But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to defeat them by 10 points, and the final will be 24-14 Pittsburgh Steelers. It won't be the blowout sort of game that we've joked about. I think they're gonna just hit that over. They're gonna cover the spread. And they're gonna beat them convincingly, not like
Yeah.
the Minnesota Vikings game. But I don't think that the Cleveland Browns should be completely discounted. I think Quinshon Judkins probably gets a touchdown and some flimsy play breaks down and Dylan Gabriel gets a tutty or something too. But then besides that, it's Steelers all the way. So 24-14, Steelers are 4-1 after. What do you have, my friend?
It's close. I have them close. I like the 24-14. 2 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns. I could see Quinshon Judkins breaking one. I could see good old Dylan Gabriel pulling off something. I definitely could. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers win this one in super boring but dominant fashion. That's what I think happens. I don't think this is a game where the Steelers score 40. I think it's a defensive heavy game. I think at the end of this, you're like, this was a snoozer of a football game. But the Steelers are 4-1 and they walk away feeling pretty good about it. 21-10 is my final score. I think the Steelers score 3 times. Easy. Like, I don't think they do too much on offense, but I think they do enough. I also think the defense might get one because the defense loves to get one against Cleveland. That just seems to be a thing all the time, is that a defensive touchdown gets scored against the Cleveland Browns. I don't think that the Browns are scoring more than once. They might get a field goal, but I think this one's going to get, I think defensively, the Browns are going to look like the Steelers have looked for the last 5 years. And I don't think anything changes on that one. I don't think they cover. You think they do. 21, or the over under, I guess. 21-10 me, 24-14 you. Who wins the TJ Watt Miles Garrett battle here?
I think, man, I'll give the Browns this one. I'll say Myles Garrett has 1.5 sacks to TJ's 1, because I think the right side of the edge rush and both Alex Highsmith and Nick Herbig are going to be kind of just getting in the face of the lefty a little bit more. So I'll go that, not because Myles Garrett has an outstanding day and is so dominant, but just because TJ Watt still gets the job done, but the others are able to shine a little bit more because of the attention he gathers.
I think TJ Watt gets 2. I think Miles gets 2. And I think TJ comes up with the potential defensive touchdown in this one. That's my predict. TJ finds the end zone against the Browns. He does that. It's not like a one-time thing. He also comes up with the football quite a bit against the Browns. So I think I think this is the first real time. It's not like the first time, but it's the first real time. They got paid similarly. It became known that TJ wanted to get paid more than Miles. Like, this is the first real one to say, like, look at dude, stop talking. Okay. Stop it. You're not better than me. And we just need to put that to rest. And I think TJ gets it on that one. I think TJ gets it on that one. I think he gets to the quarterback twice. I think Miles gets to the quarterback twice too, but you can't stop that sometimes. I think TJ comes up with a play that says, he would never do it, but I would love for him to drop a little bit of it's because it's my league. I'm the best defensive player in the league, like Miles did last year when the Browns won 3 games. So shout out. All right, guys. With that said, we're going to start answering all of your questions. If you got them, toss them in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can right after this break. What's up, AST Nation? I've teamed up with DraftKings. The next great touchdown is coming. You can bet on it. And the best way to do so is through DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers who bet $5 get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. With the bye week behind us, now is the time to get in on the action. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen. Then use your bonus bets to stay in on the action and bet DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. And don't worry, if sports betting is not yet available in your state, you're fine. You can still join in on all of the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. New customers who bet $5 get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Sign up using my promo code ALLSteelers and get in on the action only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Shout out our boys over at DraftKings. Shout out to our members and our super chatters. If you got questions, toss them in the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can before we head out of here. Let's start with our boy Cody Silva. I've been saying that all week. No one confirmed the Jalen Ramsey injury. No Schefter, no Rappaport. I seen this coming. I reported it, Cody. Come on. I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not good enough. What are we doing here? What are we doing? I will say that I think that Jalen's injury is not a nothing. I just think that if TJ Watt had the same injury, he'd be doing the same stuff. You know what I mean? I think there are certain players that, like, if Jalen Ramsey walks into Mike Tomlin's office and says, I'm playing, like, Mike doesn't really have the, like, no, you're not, you know? Like, if TJ walks in and says, I'm playing, it's like, all right, we're going to see what happens. We're just going to see what happens. We're going to play it by ear. Okay. That's what we're going to do. Joey walks in and says, I'm playing. Mike says, shut up, sit down, you know? And it's just, it's different. It's a different situation. But I look at Cody has been calling this all week. Let's not act like he hasn't. Shout out Cody for not, you know, not believing me and turning out right. And then turning out right. We'll toss that in there too. Shout out Cody. Dog Pound Destroyers. Long back half season rest anyone who's not 100%. I kind of agree. I agree with this. Like, my philosophy right now is there's no reason to push anybody if you are sitting at the top of the AFC North. If you have 2 games in 5 days, if the second game is scarier than the first game, go with the second game. Worry about the second game. Don't worry about the first game. And see where you're at there. And I think that there is a part of the Steelers that feel the same way. I also think there's a part of the Steelers that say Jalen's going to play if Jalen wants to play. And, you know, I think we'll kind of see what happens. But I agree with Steven on this one. Anybody who's not healthy, I'm not tossing out there.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. I know it's not like, I don't know, it's not like the football mindset at times where you sort of like you play through, you know, you gut it out sort of thing. But like, you know, I stand by what I said earlier. There's nothing important enough about this week 6 and week 7 matchup, or, you know, week 8 even, you know, that's the Packers, right? Is that, or
yeah.
Like, it's these are great matchups. You need to stack wins and continue building and progressing as a unit. But like, is that more important? Is going to 4-1 or 5-1 more important than possibly losing your superstar corner for an extended period of time? Like, you got so lucky that this hamstring injury is relatively minor compared to what it could have been. So like, I don't understand why you immediately push it so quickly whenever the results, which you are very aware of, like the possible consequences, could be disastrous. Now, not to be dramatic or like, but I think that word is appropriate.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you do not risk it. And again, I think there's a chance the Steelers are playing games here.
For sure.
We'll kind of see what happens. Yins or Jake, my coworkers keep playing an AI voice that says, F you, Jake, you dumb. We're a family-friendly show. Steelers fan over the speaker in and out bay at work today. I'm getting my stickers ready. Dude, it's a week for you, okay? It's a terrifying week, dangerous week. I'd eliminate anything with my address on it, but I would 100% put the stickers all over the place. I would have terrible towels everywhere. And if they win, I'd be showing up Monday dressed head to toe. I'd have full face paint on. Full face paint. I think that's the only way to do it. That's the only way to prove them. That's the only way to go about this. We'll see. Just stick it out until Monday, and then on Monday, There's a
piss in
chance.
their faces. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
there's a.
No,
There's
what were
a,
you gonna say?
no. That's about it. There's a. That's what I would do. I would just do that. I would there if on Monday I would just go. I would just go do what Jacob said. Egyptian Cobb salad. Yo, Noah, top 3 greatest movies you've ever seen. See, this is awful because I'm a terrible movie guy.
This is my dream question.
It is. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You got him. You're the movie guy.
Let me specify, or let me ask a specifying question. Is this is strictly, and I genuinely cannot read. This is top 3 greatest movies we've ever seen. So
You've
not
seen. You've ever
not
seen.
favorites.
No, just top 3 greatest. It just says
Top
top 3
greatest.
greatest movies you've seen.
Oh, okay. Godfather Part 2.
For sure.
Unreal.
For sure.
Ever seen? I'm gonna throw a crazy one out here that I know Noah has not seen. But it's called Rashomon. It's a Kurosawa film. It's from like the 50s. It is a whatever. It's fine. Number 3. This one you might know. The Princess Bride.
Wow, dude. That's
Have you
a
ever seen
stunner
that?
right there. I have seen The Princess Bride.
Oh my god, that movie is incredible, man. And if you disagree, you're lying.
I didn't see it coming. It doesn't surprise me that it came, but I didn't see it coming even a little bit.
So
Godfather 3, excuse me. Godfather 2 is easily on that list. That movie is unbelievable. Top 3 greatest. To be honest, I don't know if everybody's ever seen I can't even name an actor in it, but Rocket Man is a fantastic movie. Not the one on
the dude.
Go ahead.
Is that the dude who plays the does that star the guy who plays the cop in Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
Yes, it is exactly the movie you're talking about.
Great movie, dude.
Does it start with him like in like a dryer? Like
yes,
come on, speak on it, my friend.
Great movie. Rocket Man's number 2. This is in no particular order. And number 3, dude. Man, number 3's that's so tough. Like, I think I'd go with a classic. To be honest, I think Remember the Titans is one of the greatest movies of all time. Like, I think that movie is, there's nobody that hates Remember the Titans. You know what I mean? Nobody.
Yeah.
So, you could go sports movies alone.
The problem is like favorites are so different from like the greatest. You know what I mean? Like I have to throw in. You have to throw in like these classics, like a Rashomon or something like that, because like they like set trends and like pushed film to where it is today. You know, like you might disagree, but like Singing in the Rain was going to be my other one before I said The Princess Bride. But like that, movie musicals defined early Hollywood. You know, it was the golden era. It is the perfect like sort of like comedy, romantic sort of thing, and it's entertaining as hell. That's film, baby. So everyone has their opinions, which I love to hear about when it comes to movies. And as most people are probably picking up on, I could talk about forever.
This is the greatest question Jacob's ever gotten. Shout out to Egyptian Cobb salad for that one. Cody Silva, once again, without him getting an x-ray, how long is everyone supposed to know how injured he is? One guy said, Jalen Ramsey tore his hamstring, and he has no proof. Jalen did go through tests. Again, through my understanding, Jalen did go through tests. I'm the only one seems to only be like 2 or 3 people reporting this. But everybody goes, like, not a single injured player doesn't go through tests. You do never. You never, ever just say, yeah, he's got a bruise, so we'll be fine. Oh, he can barely walk, so we'll be fine. You are always go through tests every single time. So he did. That's almost a guarantee. Again, I don't think Rapp or Schefter or any of the big names were really paying attention to it because I couldn't tell you why, but he did for sure go through tests 100% after the game. Chris, guys, how the Steelers can be okay with this O-line is nuts. Rodgers 41 and immobile in the run game being crucial to our success. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense, but there's nothing you could do to change it. I think that's the part that gets lost in translation a lot of times, is that like it doesn't make sense, but the Steelers put the pieces together and look at Broderick Jones played his best game against the Vikings. Best game.
Mhm.
So if he continues to play well, there's a conversation to have about Broderick Jones being okay, good enough. You're not getting rid of Zach Frazier. You're not benching Zach Frazier. You're not benching Troy Fautanu, no matter how bad they are. Mason McCormick is maybe, but I think Mason McCormick has good days and bad days. And Isaac, you don't have a replacement for. So they put the work in there. It's just about it's not working. But there's, again, it's nearly impossible to change your offensive line during a season. Nearly impossible. It takes such a crazy trade to make it happen that they're so rare. And I just don't think and I just don't think it's on the horizon for the Steelers.
Yeah. Listen, I think this is a huge test. I think for some reason, I said this on yesterday's show with Jack, but you can make a whole career out of just having a good game or two against Myles Garrett. Dan Moore got paid all that money, and he's not good at football, but he did stop Myles Garrett, I think 3 times. And so that was worth about $50 million per the NFL standards, which is just great. And it could land, Broderick Jones a very long leash. I don't know what else to really make of it.
I agree. And I don't know about a super long leash, but I think it Broderick Jones has leash for this season, unless he's completely detrimental to the team. Broderick Jones has a leash for this season, Chris,
Sure.
Which O-line guys get replaced in the 2026 NFL draft? I think as of right now, it's Isaac Seumalo and Broderick Jones are the two that I would guess are the guys that have potential to be replaced. I'm not saying either of them are definite, but I'm going to say if I had to guess which ones, it's those two.
Yeah, and tell me if you disagree with which one feels probably a higher priority. I'm thinking right now guard. I think there is this possibility.
Maybe Spencer Anderson's kind of impressive.
Yeah, I'm not buying that just based off of the success of the run game with him as an extra offensive lineman. I like that he's shown some things, and I will grant you that he's been very impressive in the role they have him in right now. But I don't think that he has a real future as a starter on the offensive line. And maybe that's too harsh, but whatever. But yeah, I think left guard is going to be the priority. I think there's a scenario where Broderick Jones not only gets a leash, gets a long enough leash to play out this season, but they look at it and go, he's still young enough to be here next year. To bring up Dan Moore once again, they could have cut ties with him several times before they actually let him walk in free agency, and they just really didn't, and so I think there is this same exact sort of pattern that could play out with Broderick Jones, but maybe they could grab that other interior offensive lineman to pair with McCormick and Zach Frazier and Troy Fautanu, and then you just have one big glaring hole in the offensive line still, you continue to have.
Yes. I think a lot of this question depends on what the draft looks like. You know what I mean? If there's 10 offensive tackles that look great, it's offensive tackle. If there's 10 offensive guards that look great, it's offensive guard. I think that, but those would be the two names to watch. At the end, I think those are the two names that are it's uncertain what's going to happen. Heath Miles here. Do you think that we will ever have a fun offense? In my opinion, we haven't had a fun offense since before Canada. Can AR make it fun one more time? Whew. That's a good question. I don't think the Steelers' philosophy is built off fun. I don't think Art Rooney wants an Andy Reid offense. I don't think he wants a Kyle Shanahan offense. I think he wants a old school run the football offense. And that makes it really I hate to be the bummer of this question here because Heath, great question. But I think it boils down to Rooney. I think Rooney wants an old school run the football, punch you in the mouth offense. And now, don't get me wrong. You go get another crazy quarterback and you find another crazy wide receiver. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast, But until then, they're not going to try to make it fun. They're not going to try to do those crazy things. They're gonna live and die off of being safe because I think that's what they believe wins football games right now.
Yeah, there's I tell you what, there ain't an ounce of fun in the words Arthur Smith says when describing this offense when he talks on a weekly basis. It's not fun. There's no fun in this offense. Like it is meat and potatoes, bland, and if it gets the job done, great, but there is no desire or incentive or motivation to become anything like those, quote unquote fun offenses that exist in the NFL right now. And look, I'm not saying that is inherently incorrect or wrong. Like if this team goes, like 12-5, 13-3, like wins a division, something like that, then who cares? This like sort of like bland type of, meat and potatoes football might just be the way to go and the way to win right now in the NFL. But it ain't fun to break down. And whenever you're just hearing about, constantly that like the answer to the question of like, how can we move the ball over the middle and down the field is just, we need more possessions. You're just like, that just means it's not going to happen, So that just tells me no fun. Just tells me no fun.
It stinks because I would love fun, but I also don't think the Steelers are built off fun right now. Like, I don't think that this offense is you try to start pulling out some Mahomes things, I think you lose real fast. But again, I think you get a crazy quarterback. I think you get a good wide receiver, and I think fun comes back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Heath, I hope before I'm long gone, the Steelers are fun again. That's what.
Great.
That'd be awesome. Be so awesome. Cody Silva, once again, these are division games, which means you do not rest the guys that you don't need to rest. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that mantra, that philosophy there. I think the Browns stink, man. Like, maybe I'm just that guy, but I like.
No, they do. They do.
I just don't
They're not
like.
good.
They like. If I don't even know how to explain this, like, without sounding like a guy who's either jinxing things that I don't want to do. I don't want to be that guy, or like downplaying. And then on Monday, if something bad happens, I look like the complete jerk. So I don't even know if I want to, but like, the Steelers are so, like, they're so deep. Why? Like, if this isn't the end of the season, like it's not do or die games. You have a 2.5 game lead in the division alone before Cincinnati, not Cleveland, Cincinnati. Like, I just don't look at it and say you take the risk right now because it's a division game. Like, I think you take the risk in week 15 because it's a division game. And at that point, if Jalen's hurt and he's like just that close to playing, you play him, but you don't play him now, because if Jalen's out from week 6 to week 15 because he really hurt his hamstring and it's over now, you've gone through Detroit, Buffalo, Green Bay, Chicago. Like, those are games that I'm like, dude, you lose those games, like your whole season could be over. I don't know if I think you need them for the challenging games. And I'm not saying this one's not challenging. I just think that a 1-4 team that you're historically really good against is just not on the top of my priority list.
Yeah, yes, I don't disagree. Like, for me, it doesn't even have to be that, like, it doesn't even have to go that deep, right? Like, it doesn't even have to be about the fact that they're like a better franchise than the Cleveland Browns, which they are. And it doesn't have to be about the fact that they're like such a better team. It just, for me, I just cannot get over the fact that like this is their 5th game of the season and they're rushing their superstar defender back on the field. Maybe. This is not, you know what I mean? Like, he might not play, and then I'm just looking like the fool, sort of complaining about nothing. But like, that's great. That I love when that happens, to be quite honest. I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's great. Let it happen to me. But I just don't understand that like that sort of approach. And sort of the like cost benefit analysis of doing something like that in this time. So you cannot underestimate an AFC North opponent, in my opinion. I'll go to my grave saying that. I don't care if they're 1-4, if everyone's 5-0 coming in, whatever. You know what I mean? Like we've just seen time and time again that AFC North football is just a crazy beast. The Steelers don't need Jalen Ramsey to win this game. Why are they acting like that's the case?
I agree. I very much so agree with this one. David's got a stat for us that I just want to address here because I think that this is important in the circumstance. Steelers lost to the Browns more than any other team, but their home record against the Browns was 51-21. So, like, it leans very heavily in the Steelers towards the Steelers all time, and I just think again, like if the Steelers, I just put it simply as if the Steelers are bad enough that they lose because Jalen Ramsey wasn't on the field to 1-4 Cleveland Browns team in the division or not, that's on the Steelers. That's on the Steelers. It's not on them choosing or not choosing to play Jalen Ramsey. It's on the rest of the Steelers. And I would want to know if that's how far they fall without one player. And I think we'll find that one out. Dog Pound Destroyers, and we got a shout out to Maddie. Maddie may have been right about Jackson Dart. Crazy. Maddie had it already here, brother. She let us know early. Noah, should we have drafted Jackson Dart? Also, did we see the booze for Russ last night? I can't say we're wrong. I can't say you're wrong. I can't. Do I think Jackson Dart's going to keep it up? Time will tell. You know what I mean? In the words of Mike Tomlin, keep watching. Keep watching. That being said, he looked good last night. I'm not going to say anything. I can't say anything otherwise. He looked good last night. He looked good last night. And shout out to Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart. I've heard he's a very nice person. I heard he's a hard worker. I like it.
Yeah, I love the excitement for Giants fans. Like, again, shout out to our boy Jack. Like there's the folks over that part of the country. Like, it's a fun time when you have a pair of young players doing really well. Watching that game last night was like that's awesome. It was great to see them beat the defending champions. The amount of times Jackson Dart puts himself into danger,
a lot,
is going to get him hurt. And he's just not gonna his longevity. So while Maddie, I agree with you that like the excitement he brings, is explosive for sure. If he doesn't protect himself and learn how to do that properly, he's just not gonna have a very long tenure in the NFL, and that stinks. Because he is very fun, easy to root for, exciting to watch, entertaining to watch. But man, that boy was getting destroyed yesterday. It seemed like every time he moved out of the pocket, he was taking a very tough hit. And how many can you take? Ask Josh Allen. The goal is to avoid them, not to initiate them.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think that having an awful offense, it changes, it puts you in some of those situations. I think being a rookie puts you in some of those situations. We'll keep watching. But shout out, Maddie. You weren't wrong. My friend. A lot of movie conversation going on. Chris, guys, Raiders of the Lost Ark is the #1 movie. And then Egyptian Cobb Salads, Man on Fire, Demolition Man, and Stargate. I know none of these movies except for Raiders of the Lost Ark, which I do like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I like Raiders of the Lost Ark. I don't think any of those are like terrible movies that were just listed, but those are the greatest. Those are the greatest movies, guys. I can't get it.
I will say, dude,
I gotta hold myself back.
You picked Princess Bride, so I think
the Princess. Listen, I don't want to talk about sort of like. Do you want to talk about sort of like 5-act structure and how, sort of like how not only does the Princess Bride perfectly follow it, but then subverts expectations at nearly every step of the way, while just giving you every emotion. So I don't want to hear it.
You know what I'm saying? This is the one. Carl, Mean Cup of Joe Green Bean Salad Spackler is the one. This is the one that I forgot about. The Boondock Saints. Unbelievable movie, dude. Amazing. All three of them. Unbelievable. mostly because they're badass. Secondly, because I definitely kind of want to be them. Thirdly, because the dad, who is such a badass, is named Noah. Not sure if anybody knew that one, but shout out my guy. Shout out my guy.
That's a great
It's a great movie. Shout
addition.
out to Carl. Shout out to Carl. New member to Prague. Shout out my guy. Make sure that you are calling into the call-in show every single Wednesday. Appreciate you so much. Egyptian Cobb Salad. Just want to say I love you guys. And today marks 10 weeks out. Our 10 weeks. Our little side salad is growing, my friends. Roman Wilson will have a game against the Browns. A game for the little side salad for sure. Shout out my guy. Love you too, brother. Praying for nothing but great things ahead, my guy. David here. Hey, Noah and Jacob. As far as trading for a low risk wide receiver, what are your thoughts on calling the Chiefs for Hollywood Brown? I think a very overlooked wide receiver every year on the wide receiver market. I think a guy that every year we talk about 15 different guys, and I'm in the back of my head, I'm always just like, Hollywood Brown doesn't change anything for you, but like he's not doing anything. He's on a team where he could probably get moved. I don't know how much he's even being utilized in Kansas City, but I do think that he's fast, and I think you could utilize him. And you're not going to send anything. Like you're sending a 5th round pick for Hollywood Brown, max. And I think that's all you're doing. So I'm not going to say no to that by no means.
I wouldn't say no to that at all. I would honestly, I think that would be fine, especially if you're throwing him a 5th, a 6th, a 7th round pick, something where you're not really too concerned about parting ways with it because it's such a low risk, high reward situation. I have no idea how the Kansas City Chiefs are utilizing him or really anyone else in their offense this year. And I guess my only real question, if there is one, is do the Kansas City Chiefs feel like they are in a position to sort of just like give up on any sort of players? Like, was it last year they traded Sky Moore? Or I feel like they are.
It was right before the season. They traded
right
Sky
before
Moore.
the season. Okay, so they're clearly okay with parting with talented assets if they feel like it can help them in some way. So might be worth a shot here. Thanks for with David. Man, I'm going blind back here, brother.
I don't know how you did the show yesterday, but shout out. Appreciate it.
I made Jack read a lot of the questions because I would start and then I would be like, I can't read these at all because I don't wear my glasses while we record.
You got to get a little glasses going. Just do them in the dark. You know what I mean? Nobody needs the light in front of you. You'll be all right. Dog Pound Destroyers. Do you know why they didn't go to Hurleman? I think Keshan has had a grip over Hurleman since the second preseason game. I think Hurleman looked better throughout training camp. He was incredibly impressive. I think the second preseason game, Keshan surpassed him, and I don't think he's kind of let go of that grip yet. So I think it's Ben Keshan ahead of him on the depth chart. He's also a punt return, which Max is a punt returner too, but they went to Keshan as a punt returner during the preseason, which means he's higher on the depth chart there. I think that's a big reason for this is the punt return ability over the wide receiver ability.
Yeah, for sure. And it is notable how Max Hurleman was very much a preseason hero, and I think that is the value of that I think Max Hurleman genuinely provides the Steelers is that he's a really strong addition to their scout team, and they can use him to emulate a lot of different players that they meet along their schedule. But like, he's not really an NFL impact player. I don't think he really will be. But he's athletic enough to like really give you some different looks in practice settings and that's where the value is. So I hate to say it's not a backhanded compliment. It kind of sounds like a backhanded compliment, but like he's a great addition to the Steelers' ability to game plan for opponents. He's not going to make a difference on the field come game day.
I like Keshan. Big Keshan.
I like Keshan a bunch.
I think Max Hurleman might be hurt too. Just from like what I've seen walking around the locker room, it's a little bit of a gimp there. Ian's or Jake, what happened to this team drafting good wide receivers? They used to be a revolving door of wide receivers getting drafted and then being traded because we had more talent coming up. I don't know. I think they missed on like 2. maybe 3. But I think Kevin Colbert, the last couple of years of his career, did not draft well, and that came back to bite them a little bit. And then I think that when you look at like Roman, you kind of miss there. But besides that, like George was a hit. Deontay was Kevin Colbert, but I think that was a hit too. I think Juju was a hit, but less of a hit. I think AB went crazy and that kind of threw everything for a loop. But I kind of think it just all kind of caught up with them. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. Chase, again, Kevin Colbert, a miss. Like, I think Colbert at the end of it just didn't draft well. I think most of his draft picks late, there were some good ones, some really bad ones. And I think that kind of came back to bite them in the butt in a role that they were most certainly on.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think the outlier, like here, what's the like briefest way to say this? I think the Steelers' ability to like draft star wide receivers is maybe a little bit overblown. Like they have identified talent and found talent where 31 other organizations have missed over the years. But you know, I'm reading their draft classes forever going back, and you can find, you know, even the years that are forming this opinion and are generating I think that because there were such crazy outliers like Antonio Brown, like the fact that they find someone like an Emmanuel Sanders deep in the draft, the fact that they get Deontay Johnson out of a max school in the 3rd round, like the hits and the players that they hit on were like so extraordinary that whenever they just found like your James Washingtons, your Juju Smith-Schusters, you know, just these guys who come into the league, maybe play for a couple of years, bounce around, do normal NFL wide receiver things, it doesn't really move the needle the other way. And then you like look at it and you're like, well, where are the superstars at? You know, what happened? But I think the Steelers are still very good at drafting wide receivers. There's just the bar is meeting Antonio Brown, who's absolutely a top 5 to 10 wide receiver ever. So like you don't just keep finding those players, right? Otherwise the ranking of top 5 to top 10 just wouldn't matter or exist. So I think it's still kind of happening, even if it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, they haven't found a superstar, and I think that kind of hurts because every team needs a superstar. You need a CD Lamb, you need an AJ Brown. They haven't been able to find one of those, and I think I think that's warranted. Tom here. We have a crazy quarterback somewhat, and DK, LOL, hecking winning is fun. I really hope 95 doesn't get A-Rod, doesn't get to A-Rod, Jacoby Myers. Thoughts? Winning is fun for sure. And I also hope that 95 does not get to A-Rod this weekend. I think Jacoby Myers is a name to start watching because the second Kenny Pickett steps on the field for the Las Vegas Raiders is the second that Jacoby Myers trade clock starts, and it's rolling fast. It is counting down quick. It is a time bomb that is a bomb that is ready to explode. And I think the Steelers might be right at the top of that list. There weren't many that were going after him early. I expect a couple to go after him now because they'll be cheaper. I think the Steelers will be one of it for sure.
I think they need to be. I do not know if they will be, nor do I feel convinced that they will be. But man, you have to be banging down the doors to acquire a player like this at this point.
I mean, for sure have to be. And I think that I think at some point they're going to, I said it today in my to go. I think they're going to trade for a wide receiver. I've convinced myself they're going to. They're just, everything's on the wall. The writing's there. I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen soon. Artisanal Bully Kennel, I think we dropped the ball on Emeka Ibuka. I feel the same freaking way because if you go back to the draft and everything about the draft, all I kept saying all draft process was all I am being told is that Emeka Egbuka is the best player in the draft. Not the best player at wide receiver, the best player in the draft class. Emeka Egbuka. And you want to know who got him? Baker freaking Mayfield, man. Which I love because shout out Baker Mayfield, but I'm telling he's going to turn out to be the best player in the draft. I'm not even joking.
It was pretty easy to see how special he was at that joint practice at Heinz Field between the Steelers and the Buccaneers. Like that, he's just like he's a special kid. Did you see Rob Gronkowski trying to pronounce Emeka Egbuka?
His name Omega Uka Beka Buka Buka, whatever his name was. Dude, it was
they
awesome.
all were like, what?
No, it was awesome. It was so awesome. It was so awesome. Shout out to, you don't have the ability to listen to the broadcast. You have no idea. You know what I mean? Shout out Woodland Hills, man. Teaching you nothing but the good vocab over there. Nothing but the good vocab. Tom, I forgot to say, Noah, you should go to Go Salad. That's awesome. That's awesome. We should just start making a bunch of to-go salad shirts. That would be so awesome. Heath, my top 3 movies, Rocky. If you have not seen the King of Tulsa, go watch it. It's so good, dude. It's so good. Shawshank Redemption and The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. The Replacements is Shawshank Redemption's a fantastic movie too. The Replacements is my feel-good movie. Like if I am down in the dumps, it is my go-to, no questions asked. Yeah, great ones. And again, if you're into it, go look at or go watch Tulsa King. It's so good, dude. It's so good.
Sylvester's
It's Sylvester Stallone.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that what? Okay.
Yeah. It's Sylvester Stallone. It's his new show. It's on something. I have no idea. I watched it on the plane coming back from Dublin, and it was. I got off the plane. I was like, I'm pretty much in the mob. Pretty much.
Does he talk like Rocky in it?
Yeah. He like pretty much plays himself.
I did it.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's
why Stallone.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Justin Gordon, how many draft picks out of the 7 need to get second contracts to give the class a good grade? Omar's doing great outside of the 3rd round. Hope Roman and Caleb work out. How many draft picks out of the 7? 3. It's my 3. You need your first, your second, maybe 4, but I think 3. I think if you could get your first and your second, and then some mid-round guy, great. That's totally fine. But not all 3rd round draft picks work out. Not all mid-round draft picks work out, and most late-round draft picks do not work out. So if you could get 3, to me, that's a win. That's like, all right, yeah, sounds good. Which the Steelers have not gotten any recently. So
I was gonna say
they're down to pretty much 0 all the time. So I think it's a small. It's not a real big price tag to pay here or to come up with. I think it could work.
Yeah, you know how many members of the 2021 class got a second contract?
The 0.
No, one. Pat Freiermuth did.
Pat Freiermuth, who's could be gone. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. Going back, crazy. Alex just won the year before, and Alex Highsmith. Yeah, you know, it's looking. I was gonna say 2, and I was tempted to say just 1, but I think you saying 3 or 4 kind of anchored me to a higher number here, because I think specifically, like, I see, you know, Derek Harmon as an obvious second contract guy. Y.A. Black kind of seems like a second contract guy. Beyond that, I don't know, but I think if you were able to get 1 or 2 players that actually are not just second contract players, but impactful, then I'll take that over, you know, just keeping, you know, like the Steelers probably whatever class, whatever year Anthony Chickillo was, they probably had like 3 or 4 guys from that class because they kept giving Chickillo 1-year deals, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want that. I want 2 players who are important, you know, staying with this team for 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I very much so agree. Like that's why I say 3 is the number for me, because like you could go 6, but like some of them just might be nothing. You know what I mean? Isaiah Loudermilk coming back, but I think that I think 3 is a good place for me. Thomas just joined. Sorry, gents. With Newsome out and Campbell in for the Browns, do you think DK is going to feast this week? I think that Denzel Ward is going to spend a lot. Is Denzel Ward playing? Is he healthy?
I
believe he is.
Injury report. I believe he is too. I expect him to be covering.
I believe he's going to be spending a lot of time on DK Metcalf. To be honest with you, I expect DK to have his numbers, but I don't expect DK to eat. Like, I don't expect DK to have some crazy giant game because I think the Browns are going to be spending a lot of time staring at him and doing what they can to make it work around him for sure.
Full participant yesterday and today. So yeah, he's good to go.
Yeah, I expect Denzel versus DK to be one hell of a matchup, and I'm actually excited for it, for sure. Enigma After Dark, member for 6 months, my guy, finally catching a live show again. What about going after DJ Moore from Chicago? I've said this a number of times. You've said this a number of times. I'm not a DJ Moore guy. I don't think he's worth the price tag. I don't think he's worth what you'd have to go pay for him. I think he's a good wide receiver. I think you could get Jacoby Myers. I think you could get Chris Olave. I think you could get Jalen Waddle. I think you could get Rashid Shaheed, all for like either the same or less. And I'd go any of those before I'd go DJ Moore. Any one of them.
Yeah. A year ago, different story. 2 years ago, completely different story. But right now, there's just nothing. It's just there's a lot of money that he's owed, and the production just isn't there. And I would not be eager to take a chance on him, especially. I'll take another opportunity to say I think Rashid Shaheed is the ideal player for the Steelers to pursue if they're going to add a wide receiver and you can get him for penny. I'd be Jalen Waddle, be thrilled with that. Jacoby Myers, I'm thrilled with. Give me a player like that. I'm happy. What I'm also saying is a player like Rashid Shaheed also gets me quite jubilant, to use a dramatic word, because I just think it would solve a lot of issues for them. So
I love it. All right, Asada Burrito, what about an AST shout out shirt? I think it'd be awesome. We got a shout out shirt coming. We got a keep it trucking shirt coming. And I'm trying to figure out the salad stuff, guys. But one thing's first, we're trying to work on some thumbnails. So, when the thumbnails come out and the thumbnails are juicing it up, there'll be some t-shirts. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you always. And we'll finish it off with Grace and the Ginger looking into the future. But are we worried about Joe Flacco having a big game against us? Thursday nights are always trap games for the Steelers. That is very, 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 very true. I am and I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, I am to the point of Thursday night games are trap games, and Joe Flacco's a trap game, and like Thursday night in the NFL is just crazy. Asked the Eagles last night. But I'm also looking at it like, dude, Joe Flacco might not even make it to the Steelers game. Micah Parsons is about to play this man for a second time in 2 weeks, and his offensive line just got significantly worse. I'm very worried for good old Joey Flack, man. I'm very, very worried for Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I got a real tiny violin for Joe Flacco because I feel so bad for him. But yeah, Thursday is going to be a tough game. I think that's why I've cautioned them, in terms of injuries and resting players. And I think they, coming off of one AFC North matchup and going so quickly into another one could be a little bit more troubling than the Steelers want to think. But I think they also can handle it based off of, how they've been responding and adjusting to things so far this year.
I agree. I very much so agree. All right, guys. So with that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. As you hop off this video, make sure to like it. That helps us so much in the algorithm. I'm learning that slowly but surely, so that would be super appreciated. And with that said, guys, enjoy your weekend. We'll be back Monday. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.